Hello, dreamers, doers, and achievers. I'm Tyson, your host, and I invite you to join me on a new adventure called Sharing Success with Tyson. Each week, we dive into the most inspiring stories of individuals who have transformed their dreams into reality. From the entrepreneurs who started from nothing to the artists who see the world differently, we share the journeys that inspire and motivate. Whether you're looking to ignite a long-held passion or find encouragement in your daily grind, Sharing Success with Tyson is your weekly dose of motivation. Together, let's redefine success and achieve the extraordinary. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sharing Success, Season 1, Episode 9. It is crazy that we're already on Episode 9. Our guest today is awesome. Her name is Connie Romero, and Coach Connie Romero. She is the founder and CEO of Creating Greatness. Connie is on a mission to help business owners and women live life to its fullest potential. With a passion to make the world a better place and serving as a beacon of hope, she invites you to step into your power. She is obsessed with personal growth and development, and she has been educating, motivating, and guiding professionals now for over 15 years. Her compassionate and energetic approach is rooted in clarity, focus, and accountability. She loves to work with business owners and create business plans with action steps and strategies to help them get moving in the right direction. With a positive, radiant spirit and a zest of life, she inspires business owners to break free from limitations and embark on a journey to creating greatness. I can attest to this. Connie is awesome. I previously met her at a networking event, and she is somebody that, everybody needs a Coach Connie in their life, and you will see why. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, share this with everybody and anybody. I would really appreciate it. It definitely helps the podcast. And I did want to note that during this episode, there was a few audio mishaps. They just last for a few seconds, but they are there. And so I just wanted to note that. But thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy the episode. Here we go. All right. Well, thank you for being here. Everybody, welcome to Sharing Success Episode 9. We have Coach Connie Romero here. Connie, I already read off your intro, so everybody has a little bit of a history about you. What else do you want to add to that? Is there anything else that right off the bat you want people to know about you?
Oh my goodness. No, I think that's
Okay.
good. I think it's
All
pretty
right. Yeah, your intro was great. I think it summed you up perfectly for the listeners and viewers. I met you at a networking event a few months ago, and it was really cool to see. You're the type of person, Connie, when you walk into a room, you just embody, you just have this very like regal and knowledgeable presence about you. And so it was really cool to be able to meet you and take notes about the way that you kind of hold yourself and present yourself, because I'm like, oh yeah, I need to up my game. Her confidence is very inspiring.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure
Yeah.
to meet you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So for listeners, they got like a quick little intro to your background, but I like to ask everybody, just right off the bat, if you could tell me about kind of your background as much as you want to give, and then the journey that led you to where you're at right now.
Yes. Let me try to condense this because I can go down rabbit trails.
Go for it.
But so I come from humble beginnings. My mother and my father met in California, which is where I was born. And, my mom comes from a line of entrepreneurs. Like she was always just very strong, independent hustler kind of woman. And then my dad was the same way. Like he grew up in the generation where you had to work, and work ethic was strong, and loyalty was also something big for him. And so I inherited a lot of these attributes. And then right around high school, my parents were always, just very common people, very like no high school, no higher education, and so like no college degrees or whatever, just constantly working. But I remember one day, right around 16, my teens, going, man, I don't know that I want this kind of life. I
Mhm.
definitely want better, definitely want more. Stressing to make ends meet is
Mhm.
just
Mhm. Yeah.
not something I wanted. So of course, I had to ask some questions. And fortunately, I had an older sister,
Mhm.
siblings. I'm the youngest, so I'm the baby. And I would like to say that I was spoiled, but I wasn't. But yeah, so I had an older sister that was asking me all these questions, like, what are you gonna do with your life? Like, do you have a plan? How are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna make ends
Mhm.
meet? And just all this good stuff. And so it made me ask myself these questions. And at the time, I wanted money. I just wanted to get out of, poverty, out of just,
Yeah.
rubbing pennies together, or what do they say? Rub not dimes or nickels
Mhm.
together. And so at the time I wanted money, and I wanted to be in a high paying career. And so I did. I'm the kind of person, like, once I set my heart and my mind to something, I just go and get it. And so I did. I wanted to go in the aviation industry. And so I became an air traffic controller and a pilot, because something I'm learning about myself is, my goodness, when I dream big. So,
That's not a bad thing.
yes. And I love it because um, it was so freeing. It was so liberating. It was so beautiful to just do things. Now, it was by no means easy. It was, it had its trials and its challenges and its burdens, and I was able to do some pretty neat things, become a pilot at age, I don't know, 17, and then, yeah, go and put myself through college and graduate at age 20. And I became a controller by age, I got hired at age 20 and became a full controller at 22. So just wild to go and do that. And then I had a beautiful career, with all of its cycles.
Mhm.
Um, but then COVID 2020 hit, and for whatever reason, I found myself in a position again where I didn't want to be in.
Mhm.
Um, I had reached what at that point I decided or defined as a level of success that was great. But then I started to see that there were other parts of my life that were not where I wanted them to be. My relationships were struggling. My marriage was on the rocks. My health wasn't where I wanted it to be. My mindset, I was
Mhm.
becoming, just my focus. I was like so critical and so cynical and just so
Mhm.
just ugly, just
Yeah.
like that, which that can happen when you're stressed out.
Mhm.
So yeah, I found myself somewhere where I didn't want to be. And luckily, that desire and that urge of wanting more came in again. And I found mentors and coaches again. And they gave me tools and resources and strategies to, like, make moves, do things again. And so again, I embarked on a new journey, and that was, to be an entrepreneur myself. I had helped people in the past, and I was like, well, I haven't been an
Mhm.
entrepreneur myself, but let's do it, and then help people along the way. And so I did. So I launched my own business, and it's been going great. And it's of course, just like before, has had its beautiful challenges and turns and twists. But what's interesting, though, is this time I'm bringing a whole different person and
Yeah.
a whole different reason. And and I've loved it, and I've loved serving, and I've loved helping others, and that's kind of where we're at today, like
Yeah.
snippet version.
Wow. That's an amazing story. It's interesting how 2020 made so many of us kind of take a step back and really take stock of our lives when we hadn't for, years, even decades before. What was there anything in particular during that time? Was it lockdown? Was it, getting sick? Was it something in specific that made you like take a step back?
Oh, there was so much. And to be honest, it was, I don't know if you were in Utah in March of 2020, but it was right around the time that COVID, like, it was very scary. And then
Hmm.
we had a huge earthquake.
Yep.
Yeah, and that it was almost like the darkest time for my career. Not my doing, kind of out of my control, but I was at the airport when the earthquake hit, and you could imagine I was at the Salt Lake City airport in the tower. And so you can imagine an earthquake, everything that goes involved in that, suspending travel in airplanes, and just the aftermath and the chaos and the panic and the stress and the fear,
Hmm.
on top of people being afraid about COVID-19, like on top of
Yeah.
not wanting to be close to people, and just so yes, it was certainly a rude awakening as far as our leadership and our management team, and the
Yeah.
things that they did and the things that they didn't. And then I remember myself and a couple other people sorting things out and figuring it out and going forward. And that, of course, months later, when everybody was asking, who did all this, and who made all that, like, what, how did this happen? Of course, the absent management team that was not there, took all the credit and glory. And I just remember sitting going, wow, like I remember what we had to do, and the things we did. And um, just the insult and
Yeah.
someone taking all the credit and glory, that was like the thing that pushed me over the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it give you some insight into your leadership capability? And, did it give you that confidence where you were like, wait, I'm already leading anyways. Why don't I just kind of go off and be my own leader?
Yes. So I've naturally always done that. And so, yes, was that a little bit of a shakeup for myself? I always say, like, I literally got shaken up in 2020 in more ways than one
Yeah.
with the earthquake. But yes, just seeing that it's time to just, be that leader and help others. And then it just comes so natural. So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think being able to recognize and hone in on your strengths is like a gift in and of itself because so many people go throughout their life and they don't realize like that they're so good at certain things. Of course, as an outsider looking in, right? You can look at somebody and be like, "Oh, you're great at this, this, this." But for somebody to be introspective enough to be like, "No, I have a real gift here and that's what I can offer the world." I think that's a big accomplishment. So I think that's awesome that you kind of recognize that in so many aspects of your life, right? Like when you were young and you got into aviation throughout your career, and then when you decided to switch it up, you were like, well, it's time to pivot because I know what I'm good at.
I absolutely love that. You could not have said that better, because one of the things that's an area of coaching that I do when I talk to people is like, so many people don't understand or realize their strengths, or don't focus on it. Like, it's so interesting. You go into a room with people and you're like, tell me your strengths. And like, it's so much easier for people to tell you their weaknesses
Yes.
than tell you their strengths, because we haven't normalized it, And so, but just like you said, once you have that insight of what your strengths are and you play to them,
Hmm.
the whole game changes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's get into what you do. You brought up your coaching. Tell everybody listening what you do and kind of what you help your clients with.
Yes. So I serve. I just serve people that are stuck and overwhelmed, specifically in business. Whether it is they want to transition, kind of similar to me, right? Like where they
Mhm.
had a job and they're wanting to go off on their own and bet on themselves and create, all the ideas that they have. Or if it's people that are in business and they're just stuck with like knowing the next steps, or the right direction, or because business, let me tell you, is fun.
Mhm.
But it is also hard.
Yeah.
Like you will go through, I mean, I'm sure or you
Mhm. There's
um
so many different buckets that your hands are in, and I think a lot of it's learning on the fly too.
yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Learning on the fly, and then a lot of people wing it, and so a lot of people are like, I just needed to, and it's like, okay, what kind of plant do you have? It's always my favorite. That is always my favorite, talking to business owners, and they're just like, I just started and I'm winging it and I'm figuring this out because why not, and I'll learn as I go, but I'll and so I love entrepreneurs. Like they are people after my own heart, like,
Mhm.
but that's what I've learned in every single stage of my life and every single stage of success. People ask me, like, how have you been so successful? Like, how have you became a control, like you knew what you wanted so early on. You went and did that. You did amazing things. Now you're doing this. Like, I could just sit here and I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
And people ask, and my answer has always been, talk to people who have been there. Talk to people who are doing what it is you want to do. Always, like before I became a controller, I talked to controllers. Before I became a pilot, I talked to pilots, and I
Mhm.
got all the pros and cons and what I needed to do and this, that, and the other to make it, and same as in business, I was mentored by one of the best, because, a high standard girl here. uh I went and I'm like, if I want to do business, I want to learn from the people that are there where I want
Mhm.
to be. And so sure enough, I did that. And they just tell you like all the things to avoid, all the things that are coming at you, how to handle it, the pros and the cons so that you understand what's coming.
Mhm.
And it's like that is what you do. But so many people I've noticed in business don't do that. Or just in life don't do that.
Yeah. I think, at least for myself, what I've found is, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way, is there's there's some ego you need to push aside in order to go to somebody and be like, I want to be where you're at. Can you help me get there?
Yes.
And it's kind of, it's that admission of, hey, there's a gap right now between where I am and where I want to be. What do you say to people who are in that gap right now and they're afraid to reach out and look at resources?
So you're talking about like the people that are resistant to
Yeah.
asking for help.
Yeah.
What do I say to them? Um, this is interesting. Normally they'll come up with excuses or something. And so I usually just say, tell me when you're ready.
Yeah.
Tell me when you're ready because there's something that's amiss that I would love
Yeah.
to teach you. But I think they kind of have to get to that point. What do I tell somebody that's telling them, "Oh, I don't need that. I'll be okay," or I could figure it out on my own? Um, Normally I tell them, "What do you really want? Like,
Yeah.
like what is more important?" Like, I think people think that they have time
Mhm.
or that mistakes aren't costly. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right, and I think what you initially said is, like, perfect. I think somebody needs to kind of work through that first, and then when they're willing to kind of open up and go and ask for help, that's how you know they're going to be receptive to the help anyways. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's like a huge thing. Somebody needs to, if there's that resistance and they're coming to you and they're like, oh yeah, I want it, but I don't know if I need it. I mean, you want to work with somebody who's in and who's ready to see change, or else they're not going to put that effort forward, right?
Yeah, there are times where I ask them how it's working out.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I have my husband, like, sometimes he likes learning through trial and error, which, hey, there are times I learn that way too, but there's times where he's like, "Gosh, this is so frustrating." And I go, "How long have you been at this?" He's like, "For a couple of hours." I go, "When are you going to think differently?" Like, when are we gonna get there? And, like,
Yeah.
normally it just takes a little bit of time for them to be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Can you
Yeah.
help me?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And kind of talking about, you mentioned earlier about kind of success. You've had a lot of people and your clients ask you, how have you been so successful, or how have you gotten here? Kind of my question regarding your success is, what does success mean to you right now? And has that evolved over time, since you were 17 and you started on your journey?
Yes, I love this. I love this because, yes, I talk about it too. Yes, success has changed. It
Mm-hmm.
has changed, and I love that it can change. Like, that is, I think, something that I've loved to embrace, is that the success that I wanted when I was younger was all about a little bit about ego, kinda like what you pointed out. It was about money, like, I wanted 6 figures, I wanted a retirement, I wanted security. I wanted the prestige, drive fancy cars, not look at price tags, all that good stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that for me was success. And then now, you know what? I now it's so much more fulfilling. Like, now it's living a life fulfilled, doing helping others just reach that level of success, and dreaming and making things possible. And so I think that that's success, just impact and making the world a better place, like, true.
Mm-hmm.
um I know it sounds kind of cliche and out there, but I think that is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's so funny because every guest I've had on here, that is the answer unanimously. They will say, you know, decades ago or when I first started in my career, it was all about money. It was all about finances. It was about climbing the ladder. And everybody says success to me now is either serving others or like feeling fulfilled. Like, I want balanced relationships. I want, um, a good work home life balance and stuff like that. And so it's very interesting. There's a common thread how, yeah, a lot of times ego gets in the way at the beginning. And it isn't until you learn a lot that you realize kind of what really matters. So it's a very common thread I'm seeing.
Which, don't get me wrong, I still like I
Yeah.
still like money and making money, and that's definitely a big part of it, but it's not the whole piece,
Yeah.
it's not the whole piece of the pie. It's like everything intertwined.
Hmm. Well, and the money doesn't mean as much when you don't have people to share it with, or you don't have ways that you can put it to service, right? Um, and so there's definitely pieces of the puzzle that all come together to make that fulfillment for sure. Let's talk about what in your career. So this is your comprehensive career, right? So around 17 to now, what's the biggest challenge you faced on your path to getting where you're at, and how did you overcome that?
Mm. I have to pick one, huh?
You can throw a few at me.
Oh my goodness. I think there's a couple, but I think that if I had to pick the biggest one, it would be the self-worth one.
Mhm.
The one, of just like believing in yourself, and that you are worthy, and that you are amazing and incredible, and and really just embodying that has been challenging, but also so rewarding, just so beautiful. And that's, I feel like that's where it stems from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's such a big hurdle, and it's probably a journey that we'll never fully finish, right? But um yeah, I think that's, at least for myself too, that's like the main challenge, is that imposter syndrome. Like, I think, like we talked about before, so many other people can look at you and be like, wow, this person's amazing, they do this, they do this. But the real challenge is looking at yourself and being like, no, like, I am that person, like, I can do that, I can be that. um and then it's kind of funny because I feel like once you step into that headspace, a lot of things just come together. Like, it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, you tell yourself, "Oh, I am this, I am that." And as soon as you start to like reassure yourself of that, more situations and more connections show up in your life that reaffirm like you are that person. And it's very funny how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yes, that's exactly
Mhm.
right. Like once you, yeah, once you step into it, and that's like that's my favorite part. That's my favorite part when I empowering, other people, and when
Mhm.
once you see them step into their greatness, it's just, oh my gosh, I just jump for joy.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, let's speak to that a little bit. In your coaching, you empower people, and you kind of help them recognize who they are. How do you do that? How do you work with your clients to help them see that?
Oh my goodness. What tools do I use? I have
Yeah.
tons.
Yeah. Give me okay, so let's do this. Could you give like a practical tool or a technique that listeners at home can maybe try to implement sometimes when they're trying to embody their best self,
Hmm.
when they're trying to be empowered? I'm not asking you to give, the secrets of the trade, but just I know that having, a mindset coach on here and a business coach, a lot of people are curious about that. And so, if there's, is there like a technique that you recommend to people that you're talking to sometimes, where you're like, oh yeah, if you're struggling with this, maybe this will help? Do you have like a favorite one that you could share?
Oh, I think one that comes up a lot, especially in business, and especially because I like to work with women in business, is boundaries.
Mm,
I think that for whatever reason, people pleasing and caring a lot what people think has been taught or learned. And I feel like one of the things that comes up a lot is guilt, or all these emotions, right? Like shame or guilt, or being able to tell people no. And so I always give techniques about how to say no in a polite but firm way.
yeah.
And this comes across a lot in business, in with family, with, kids, or just with time management, because that's huge for business owners that don't want, work-life balance, or they
Mhm.
want work-life balance. They don't wanna be overwhelmed. It's just the boundaries of, um, saying no, and how to say no effectively, and then being okay with saying no. Because I almost feel like once you decide to start a business, like everybody and everything wants your attention.
Yeah.
And your demands, and your this and your that. And you're like, are you kidding me? I'm trying to do something here. And so one of the tools, I think, and that helps with self-worth, that helps with um self-confidence, is to be able to tell somebody, you know what, this isn't serving me right now, or this isn't going to help me, or I'm really focused on something that requires a lot of my attention. So I can't go to that event, or I can't, I really have to dedicate time for this that I'm doing right now, or, setting boundaries just in any way. And so that is one of the tools that I teach is start sticking up for yourself, and then just start saying no firmly but polite,
Mhm.
or say no with an alternative, like, "I'm really busy this week, I cannot do that. Reach out to me in 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now," or, "I'm really not interested in that right now. I have to focus, can
Mhm.
you, another time," or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. It's I didn't really make the connection how setting boundaries can lead to empowerment before you said that. But as you were explaining it, that definitely makes sense, because I think when you're willing to kind of take a stand for something and advocate for yourself, it kind of forces you to realize like your self-worth. So yeah, that's really awesome. I love that. Something that I also try to ask people who I have on here, because everybody is successful in their own way, is I find that something that separates successful people from people who haven't reached their definition of success yet is mindset, and being able to pivot with that, being able to quickly switch from, a closed mindset to a growth mindset, negative self talk to positive self talk. Um, how do you keep your mindset positive? Do you have any rituals that you do? Do you have any processes that you do to make sure that you're in the right mindset for success?
Yes. Mindset to me is almost everything. Like, it really does. Like, a lot of things stem from mindset, which is why I love being a mindset and business coach. But how do I keep the right mindset? Um, Normally, it is my routine in the morning, how I start it. I always start with gratitude, always, and that directs my focus. You know, I mix it up. That's the thing that I ask my clients to do is what are you grateful for today? And don't give me the, candid answer of my family, my life, that I'm here, that
Right.
everything's okay, don't give me the can like switch it up, like
Mm.
really on the fact that, I have, a toilet, within,
Yep.
or just change it up. So I always start with gratitude. And I think it just sets the day for me, and I do mix it up. Like, thank you for, you know, the fact that we're living in a free country, just whatever.
Yeah.
Always changing it. So that certainly sets my mindset to go the right path. And then I always ask myself, like when I'm stressed out or when I'm having a hard time, I always ask myself, like, what am I focused on? What am I focusing on? Like when I'm like if someone says something that is hurtful, or if something is going on that I'm not happy about, I'm always asking like what am I or if I don't do this very often anymore, but like if I'm ever comparing myself to somebody else, I'm always like, what am I focusing on? Like what am I focused on? Like, and do I need to change it?
Mhm. I think that's something that I struggle with, absolutely, because I feel like in such a, I don't even know the word, such a technological time that we're in right now, it's so easy to see a highlight reel of everybody else's life, right? And so
Right.
it's easy to compare. But I love that idea of kind of stepping back, reframing, like, what am I focusing on? Why is this so important to me? I'm gonna add that to my arsenal.
Yes, it's huge.
I love it. I love it. Um, so Connie, what else do you have to, if anybody's listening and um, they were to ask you if you have any solid uh, secret tips or techniques that helped you to reach your success and your definition of success, Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you want to throw on the table?
Hmm.
I know I'm asking all the hard questions.
um, I would just tell people to go for it.
Yeah,
Like, we're living in a time, I think, sometimes where people are so fearful, and don't get me wrong, fear is there for a reason. Um, but I think more often than not, when people are holding themselves back just based on fear. And so if I could add anything, I would be like, just go for it. Just go for it and get good people around you, because if you get the right people around you, it is the sky's the limit, you
yeah,
know. Um and go for it. Like, don't let anything hold you back. Go for it and get good people around you.
yeah. I love that. I love that. I have chills because I think you said something earlier that really stuck with me. You said um, something to the effect of a lot of people assume that we have time, right? And I think not to take this to like a super existential level, but I, I mean, the reality is nobody knows when our time will be cut short, and so I think it's important to go for it, to take risks, and yeah, if you ask anybody who's successful, aka Connie, you know, who got her who went into aviation at 17, it's just going for it because life's too short to kind of, like you said, sit in fear, um, and do all that. So that's such a wonderful piece of knowledge. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Yeah. All right, Connie, do you have anything else to leave us with before we close off?
I will leave it here. I could go for hours. It's so funny. There's a podcast coming for me. So here and just chat for hours and hours and hours. Ask my clients. They're just like, oh my goodness.
I love it. That's good though. That's so good. Um, Yeah, I think what you do is great, and I will leave all of your socials, your links, your LinkedIn, all that in the descriptions to this episode so people can get a hold of you. One more time, would you be able just to reiterate to listeners and watchers what you do and what you offer?
Yes. So I'm a mindset and business coach, and I help transform, entrepreneurs and business owners to get to the next level. If they're wanting more out of their business and wanting to grow and lead, um, I help. I help with strategic coaching, mindset coaching, planning, and execution. So, and I love it, and I will do it till the day I die, I think.
I love it. You're everybody's hype woman, and that's amazing. I think, another common thread as I've been talking to more people that I consider to be successful is when you start looking at like when you start looking at a common thread, a lot of people, even if they are what they consider themselves to be like successful, they have a coach. They have somebody, a mentor, somebody there to hold them accountable and to make sure that they're continuing to like fulfill the promises that they keep to themselves in order to be successful.
Yeah.
So there is never not a need for a mindset and a business coach. Even if you are what you consider peak successful, having somebody to hold you accountable to help you get through the pitfalls when you encounter them is pivotal. So I really appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing what you do and a little bit of your story.
Yeah, my mentor, he always tells me, he's like, there's always another level. There is just always another level. And you shouldn't do that by yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you need a coach, you need a mentor, someone that's been there and done that. And
Mhm.
yeah, like me being a coach, I still have a coach.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I think it's foolish not to.
Yeah, I think so too. And recognizing that there is always another level. You're always going to need, you know, somebody there to help you. It's that's what separates a lot of people from the others. Like we talked about ego, right? Is being willing to be like, well, no, I need some help to get where I'm going. I'm going to get there, but it would be nice if I had somebody to hold my hand. So,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Connie. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I will link all of your contacts in the description. And thank you for sharing your success with me.
Thank you so much for having me, Tyson.
Absolutely. Okay. Have a good evening, Connie. See ya. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode. I wanted to note that this is the last episode of Sharing Success Season 1. So, Season 2 is going to pick up in the fall. I will start recording then. I think that releasing an episode every 2 weeks is going to be a bit more manageable for me instead of shooting for 1 week because clearly I missed a few deadlines this season. So, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you all for being so patient. I am thrilled at the way that season 1 went. I am honored to have all the amazing guests that I've had and all the people that were willing to share their success with me. I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the podcast, please, wherever you're listening on it, for more inspiring content. Please, please, please leave a review and share this podcast with friends, family, anybody who is about success, positive mindset, growth mindset, and would love to listen. And I will have Connie's links in the description below so you can get a hold of her. And I just want to thank you guys so much. Season 1 has been a hit, and I'm excited I started this little side quest in my life. So, thank you guys. Please remember to keep striving, keep sharing, and keep succeeding. Bye, guys.